Hello, YouTuber woobers. Hey, YouTubers. Nice way to start off a call. Coffee. So, yeah, most people had because it was more fun. So, what happened on Tuesday of last week? I actually I was fine in the morning. Then around lunchtime, basically I went to go to the bathroom and I was out of wind. I was breathing kind of heavy, or not heavy, but I couldn't catch my breath in there. And then I was going off to a doctor's appointment, a wound center appointment on Tuesday. Um, and as I traveled there, it's about an hour-ish, or so, 45 minutes. So by the time that I got live, and it was extremely humid, and I thought it was because of the humidity, and I was breathing heavy. And I got into the wound center lobby, couldn't catch my breath. I was just continually to be out of breath, and they wouldn't take me into the exam room because I was in distress. So we ended up going by ambulance to the closest hospital, which is Great Barrington. This is the Berkshires, and it's the main hospital is in the city of Pittsfield, BMC, and it's called Fairview, and it's a really nice country hospital. It has that country feel where it's not as sterile as BMC, but they did some X-rays and they wanted to put me in a CAT scan, lying flat on the table. That didn't work out well. Not when I couldn't catch my breath. So they thought I had pneumonia. But what happens is that I'll retain fluid and it'll build up around the lungs and the heart. And when it gets bad enough, it gets around the heart and it pushes me in the direction on Tuesday. It just started. And that was kind of my benefit that, I think if I was at home, I may not have been as carefree about going to the emergency room as I may have been. I might have been a whole lot more stubborn until, somebody came by to say, hey, you're a darn fool, get to the hospital. So, and that was kind of to the benefit. So they got me to the point where my breathing was a little bit better, and they gave me some meds, and it has to do with how they treat me. So, you go in there and you've got the people in the ambulance got the buddy suits on, and they're in the buddy suits at the ER, and I'm wearing a mask the whole time. But once they test me negative for COVID, then it gets downscaled, and people don't have to be in the buddy suits anymore. So I'm a kind of a big guy, so I'm over. There's a weight limit on the people that can stay at the Fairview Hospital, which is kind of annoying because it's a really nice hospital, So anyway, I got transferred from the emergency room to the hospital. And the advantage there is, to tell you the truth, it's actually probably better off that way, because then I go right into a bed from the emergency room at Fairview. I go right into a room in BMC versus going through the emergency and being in there for hours on end to the point where you go crazy, and then getting transferred over directly to step down unit, which is kind of nice because it's not intensive care. And I was there for a couple of days till they got beyond Lasix. The last time I was in the hospital for 15 days, that's the one that I did that my experiences behind the curtain video, that I had lost like um, at least 50 pounds of water in that experience. It was probably a little more. It's kind of freaky when you think about it. This time it was only like it was under 20 pounds. Well, I'm not going to say my numbers, but it's just kind of interesting. I had some issues around food that I wasn't paying attention about, namely some store bought food that my daughter brought me, and I didn't really think about how high the sodium levels were. And then there were some other foods that, like pasta. You know, when you think about it, pasta you have to reconstitute it with water, and then you have all this water mass food. Um, so between the potato salad, store bought potato salad, and this other stuff, it made a whole difference in the recovery. They basically just put me on IV diuretics for, well, they just took me off it yesterday morning. Today's Saturday. So Friday morning. So it was Tuesday night. And then Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. And then Friday morning, I was on my own medication. And it's just funny how, I mean, you really have to think about it. Reduce sodium diet, reduce water in your foods so you can focus on how much water you intake. You know, opposed to only drinking about 64 ounces. That's like 8 glasses of water a day, thereabouts. And so they increased my diuretic, and I'm going to be even more focused on my food intake. And I'm obviously feeling better. I don't necessarily need the oxygen anymore when I'm wandering around the house, but I'm just going to take it slow. And so I have about 400 emails. I don't have a smartphone, and I didn't bring a laptop with me, so I was off the internet for those 5 days. 400 emails and a whole ton of videos. So if I haven't watched your video in the last week, I'm sorry. It's but I made it up my stairs, my 4 stairs, and then my 4th stairs. I made it up pretty well, and I kept my activity. I refused the Foley. They wanted to put a Foley in me, and I said no. They said you're going to be going up and going to the bathroom all night. He says that's fine. It'll keep my energy up and keep me moving. If I had a Foley in, there would be no reason to get out of bed, and there'd be no reason to get out of the chair. I would just be there for the entire day and never move, and then the bucket would just fill up. So anywho, just sharing. I hope everyone out there is having a fantastic day, and watch your salt, watch your water. I know people that live in very hot climates, they have to think about it differently as far as salt's concerned, but you got to be careful because a lot of products that are low in salt are high in potassium, and too much potassium in your system is just as bad as too much salt. So like that Mrs. Dash, they had it on the plate all the time. Your system is just as bad as too much salt. So like that Mrs. Dash, they had it on the plate all the time, but the Dash is high in potassium. That's how they just as bad to you as having a lot of salt. So yeah, happy. Do 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 do. And cable, all I watched was friggin' cable TV. Every time they had commercials, they were about food. I tell you, if the United States had a shortage of salt, the fast food industry would go out of business because they wouldn't know how to serve food without salt. Nobody knows how to cook without salt. It's just amazing. It's you can't even... Da 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 da. Da, 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 da.